Welcome everyone to this Marvel United game that sees Kang the Conqueror taking on Doctor Strange, Nova, Howard the Duck and Adam Warlock. Kang has 10 health and wins the game by depleting his master deck. In terms of special rules, on a hero knockout he doesn't activate a BAM, instead plays out a master plan card. On a BAM though, if he's in your location he deals 2 damage and 1 damage to adjacent ones, and if he's out of play, which means he can disappear from the board I suppose, he instead adds a thug to every location. With overflow, add in a crisis, meaning you can't use the end turn effect. For his 6 threats he has the time paradox, which means he enters play with full health. That needs to be dealt with. Then there's the time army, which means you take 1 damage if your location has a thug in it after your turn's done. And lastly there's time hideout, which means he can't take damage in that one or adjacent locations. All those threats are nasty. I hope I've got enough heroic actions. Regardless, I'm using all the space locations from Guardians and Valhalla from Thor's expansion. The heroes are starting obviously in Valhalla, Kang is in nowhere, so let's begin. Kang of course goes first and he gets a move 2 and BAM card. So Kang moves to Morag and does 1 damage to all heroes on his BAM before placing a lot of thugs. Doctor Strange starts for the heroes with a double heroic card, standing still but placing both on the time hideout threat before suffering 1 damage due to the time army threat. Nova plays I Am the Help, moving to Kiln with his wild. He places 2 heroics on the time paradox and the collector's museum before suffering 1 damage. Howard the Duck lastly plays a double punch card, meaning along with a wild he can remove all 3 thugs and not suffer end turn damage. So Kang's up with his 0 move and BAM card, which means he stands still but knocks out Doctor Strange and causes overflow on Xandar, meaning it suffers crisis. So Kang pulls out another master plan card where he moves 5 and BAMs. Moving to Xandar doesn't hurt anyone on the BAM, but does cause a lot of crisis. Doctor Strange plays Orb of Agamotto, which will be super helpful as it always reveals the top card of the master plan, as he moves 2 to Xandar to not suffer damage. Lastly, Nova plays I Am the Help once more, moving for his wild to the collector's museum and placing 2 heroics on the time paradox. Unfortunately though, the damage from time army knocks him out. So Kang gets 2 cards, 1 for knockout and 1 for his turn. Both are time master cards, so he disappears and reappears, bamming Strange and Warlock, knocking Warlock out. So Kang pulls a move 1 and BAM, moving to Morag and knocking out both Strange and Howard on the BAM, before placing civilians and causing crisis. Kang pulls 2 more cards, one makes him disappear and the other can't be used as he is off the board. Either way, his deck's depleted and everyone is down. It was of course at this point that I realised I'd messed up with not placing the thugs on the BAM, but I really didn't think it mattered at this point because with how many cards were drawn I figured I'd lost anyway. So Howard gets up and plays a move and punch card, moving to Kiln. He punches a thug and then uses the wild as a heroic to clear the first threat. At the end of his turn, he discards a card to place a heroic token on the other time paradox card, clearing another threat. Adam Warlock then gets up and uses a double wild card, placing 2 heroics on the time army before moving to nowhere and punching a thug. Doctor Strange uses Eye of Agamotto to shuffle up the Master Plan deck, but also uses a wild to clear a threat, move to nowhere and punch a thug. Kang has his turn and draws a move to BAM card, which he can't use as he's still off the board. As I said, yes, I should have played the thugs, but oh well, as you'll see at this point I figured I'd lost anyway. So Nova plays a heroic and punch card, clearing the threat and punching a thug at the Collector's Museum, before moving to Kiln to remove a card and clear the Valhalla threat. Now though, Kang will act after 2 heroes, but is now susceptible to damage if only he was on the board. So Howard hasn't got much to do. He plays a BFG card, saving a civilian and blasting 2 thugs in another location. Kang then appears as the Time Master he is in Kiln, as they are the strongest pair. He knocks out Howard, so plays another Time Master card and disappears, leaving a Time Master card to be next. Either way, it's over, as I can't deal 10 damage in one turn without him being on the board. So Kang has won. That's it everyone. I tried as hard as I could but got unlucky with all the Time Master cards being at the bottom of his deck and him doing an absolute ton of damage early along with his time army. I do feel that one was very luck dependent and he's beatable if you get rid of the time army early while he's off the board. Either way, it's another fun loss. I just felt good to play something again, I'll be honest, after 2 weeks of being on nursing children duty. Hopefully I can play it again soon, but until then, thanks for watching.